your mom and dad wouldn't want you to go to nobody else's house
Right.
because those type of things would happen.
Exactly.
Kids would get molested,
Exactly.
touched on, raped, and stuff like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Listen, my situation was different. It happened in my household. It happened in my family.
Can you tell us your name and where you from?
Where I'm from?
Your name and where you from?
I'm Tiffany, aka Beauty Starr. I am from the South Side, Clayco. Original from the South Side.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Okay. 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 Can you tell us what your early childhood was like growing up on on the Clayco side of Atlanta?
Early childhood, going back, I was raised in a neighborhood called Ellenwood, which is Ellenwood of Clayton County. I was raised really by my grandma and granddad growing up because my mom, grandkids always get stuck with their grandparents. My mom and dad used to always work, but growing up was pretty normal, I would think, up until 5 years old when I started to remember things. That's when things kind of switched for me in my childhood. So.
For sure. Okay. Speaking of that switch, let's dive and talk about the relationship between your mother and your father. What was that like?
Looking back on it, I feel like my parents did the best they could when it came to raising us. Like I never went without. My relationship with my mom and dad at that point in my earlier childhood was normal. I experienced, domestic violence in my home. My mom and dad used to fight all the time. Up until my early age of remembrance, like, yeah, we talking about Ike and Tina throw downs, like, so, I have those kind of memories. But other than that, I think that's pretty much why I stayed with my grandparents all the time. I just felt the love from my grandparents. I was very close to my grandfather. When it came to like daycares and stuff like that at school, my grandparents was always the one that picked me up and take me. It was kind of like I'm there all the time. So I think that's where my good memories really come from, my grandparents. My grandfather, he played a big role in my life, showing me genuine love. My grandma, she kind of inspired me. That's where I got the name Beauty Starr from.
Got you. Okay. I know you said that your mother and your father, like, it was like Ike and Tina in the house. Was there ever a moment that stick with you from, one of those times that your parents fought that stick with you to this day?
Yeah. It's so deep, I don't think I want to share that. I just remember one time I was asleep at my grandparents' house and I heard my mama hollering and crying. We stayed like 2-3 houses down from my grandmother's house. And I was always at my grandma's house and I was asleep. And I just heard my mom just calling like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And I just woke up out of my dream. I'm like, is this real? And I get to the door and it was my mom right there at the door. So her and my dad had been fighting 3 houses down. I'm talking about this in the middle of the night. So as a child, opening the door and seeing my mom there is a memory that it would never go away. That whole experience and how I felt, what I seen that day, domestic violence to the 10. So yeah, that was one moment. The fact that I was just like sleep and I heard my mom, the windows up, like just the whole situation where I just heard her calling for her mom and screaming for help. And I mean, like, yo, I'm like 11 at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the?
Yeah.
But
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I can tell that, as I read in your book, you and your grandmother was very close. You and your grandmother was very close. With her passing, like, can you walk us through that? What that day was like for you?
What like?
When your grandmother passed.
Oh, my grandma passed. She passed in 2022. So I was up in my age. So I lost somebody very close to me, somebody that I could find in, somebody I could talk to, somebody I felt that heard me. It was a time. I really don't think I really dealt with it then. I think I done dealt with it over the years. because I guess through my spiritual walk, I always confide in my grandma. Like, I would light candles with her pictures. I would pray to her. I would ask her for her guidance. Just simple things like that. I think I kind of still live in that, meaning like I never really let her go. Because I feel she's doing more for me now on the afterlife than she did when she was here. Because I guess my spiritual walk, I do ask for her guidance because I feel like she understands what I'm going through.
Is it safe to say that you were back and forth from each household between your grandmother's house and your mother and father's?
Yeah, it was, yeah. I think it was better that way. I guess my grandparents' house was my safe place, safe haven, I guess they'll say that. Safe haven mean like, my grandparents' house, back in the days in the 80s, I grew up in the 80s, I was born in the 80s. So 80s, 90s, that's when everybody still went to their grandparents' house. Everybody still there, cousins, everybody step over. That's the kind of environment grandmama had at the house. So, you always felt love at grandmama's house. So whether my mom stayed next door 2 houses down, I'm at my grandmama's house. Period.
For sure. Now I notice it's like this thing in our community where, some of our parents, don't want us going over certain people's houses or don't trust going over certain people's houses just because, you don't know who all gonna be in there. We've heard stories of this happening, that happening. I know at such a young, early age, you've experienced one of those situations before. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to dive into that and see when did that first start for you and what did that look like?
Okay, you say like back in the days how your mom and dad wouldn't want you to go to nobody else's house because those type of things would happen. Kids would get molested, touchdown, rape, and stuff like that. Exactly. Listen, my situation was different. It happened in my household. It happened in my family. So yeah, like, yeah. I didn't have to go nowhere. It happened in my own family. I didn't get molested or raped from people outside. I think that's why I deal with love and people gestures and things like that now, because the closest people to me hurted me. The closest people, violated me. And I mean, like, this started like 5. I'm talking about my early childhood. Like, I'm 5 years old, experiencing things from somebody I call my favorite uncle. Let's get details. We're gonna say it. My favorite auntie husband. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, when something like that happens so young, you don't even know how to deal with it. You mentally not even able to comprehend what the fuck be going on at that time. You feel me? So I'm suppressing all this shit in at 5. So now I done withdrew myself from everybody because now I'm in this bubble by myself. And this bubble that I began to put myself in, I started at 5. So yeah, things like that. It happens in the household more than anything. So me going to other people's house, shit, I was ready to go to my friend's house and spend the night, you know what I mean? Because that was my outlet. Right. Yes, my mama did, I only have particular friends in my neighborhood, like 3 girlfriends or whatever that my parents knew their mother and father. So it was okay to do spending nights or they come and spend the night with me. Right. But like I was saying, you don't ever know who or what somebody would do, when or where. Like I say, this happened in my own. This happened in my own household, my grandmama's house. Gotcha. Close people to me.
So, knowing that, like how it happened and transpired in the household, in the comfort of your home, like, were you able to express or tell anybody in the house what was going on? Mm-mm.
I didn't express that until my book came out. Beauty for Ashes. Like I said, it happened so young. And the generation we growed up, everybody know we sweep that shit on the rug, y'all. Like, that's some shit, like, even now, I wrote in my book, like, if I even did tell, or I went to my grandma or my mother, what would have been done about the situation? You know what I mean? Let's keep this shit 100, because that shit, as a victim, that's the main thing. We trying to figure out who the fuck gonna help. And coming from where we come from, shit, we gonna sweep that shit on the road. I feel like if I told my grandma, she was gonna be like, you know, let me figure this out. Cause that I just know in my spirit, can nobody tell me that shit would went no other kind of way. But I had to deal with that up until I was 30, 36, 37 years old. And yeah, I kept that shit suppressed. I didn't tell nobody. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know who to tell. I didn't know who was gonna be able to help. Or who would have believed me. I think that's the victims that go through that, and by being so close, something like that would have been pushed on the rug, because now I'm feeling like I would have invaded my auntie's marriage. Everybody would have been looking at me like I was the one that did something
Like
wrong.
the problem.
And plus, I
Like
was
the
a
problem.
hush situation. It was like, the triggering thing about this, the whole time I was getting molested, the same person was, I'm his favorite niece. You know, the uncle that want to sit and drink, the uncle that's cool with everybody, the uncle that everybody got a nickname, that uncle everybody wait to come, pull up, show up, have a good sign, the one that stands out in the crowd.
Right.
He's the one. So, you know, it took a lot out of me to even deal with it, to see how I was going to suppress it within myself and be able to talk about it. So when I did get to a point and realize that I was going through it so bad, because I started to get depressed about it, that's when my depression kicked in, because I couldn't hold it in no more. I couldn't. So I started journaling, started talking to God, and I started writing my feelings and my story down. It wasn't even a story. It was just me kind of getting that shit out of my chest, like, you know. And it became my book, Beautiful Ashes.
For sure. So, I mean, I can only imagine after, you know, suppressing something so traumatic for all those years.
Yeah.
Like what that done to your mental, you know what I mean, your emotional makeup, how you view people and things like that. Like, what were some ways that you like certain methods or habits that you use, you know, growing up to kind of like suppress that feeling? Like was it, did you go to drugs, or did you cope with going outside? Like, what was your outlet?
Okay, at a young age, just hanging with my friends was kind of, you know, I tried to enjoy hanging with people. I tried to enjoy having friends, but I was so angry inside. Like, I done fought all my friends. Like, in school, I wasn't like everybody. I don't know, it was my look, my energy, my swag, or you know, just what people, how they identified me. I always felt like people didn't really see me, because I really was the quiet girl in the school. I just got the attention. So I had haters. I used to fight everybody. I was angry. And I kind of, when I got about 15, I tapped into makeup. So that was, I guess, I always say now, it was a mask that I used, because I was good at it. Okay. So I just learned that was one of my gifts, and I started making money off of it. And I kind of, you know, suppressed the feelings and try to figure out my purpose in life. So making women beautiful, even the fact that I was dealing with internal stuff myself, helping other women feel beautiful was my joy in the situation.
For sure.
But I still couldn't live without dealing with it. For
sure. So like any other person that I guess we would say, quote unquote, like a normal experience growing up, with that innocence not being taken, in a sense, like when you did finally meet, like when you started to interact with boys and teenagers around your age, like how hard was that experiences for you, knowing what you already had dealt with, you know, with a man involuntarily before?
Yeah. Okay, so when you're molested at a young age and by people close to you, you kind of, I feel like I just gave up. You know what I mean? Like, it was whatever. It made me fast. I was very sexually active, young. I had my son at 17. Like, I was out there. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really see to my self-worth no more. But the shit was taken from me. You know what I mean? I didn't even have a motherfucking chance. You know what I'm saying? So now I feel like shit. Yeah. And you know what? And I got older and I realized that shit, like, man, this ain't it. This ain't it no more. That's when my spiritual journey came. That's when I tried to figure out what the fuck, like, why, you know, why do I feel like I have to let myself go so freely? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I never really had a chance to keep it.
Like a choice. You
So
never had a
that's been
choice.
my battle even now to 4 years old. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like people always got their intentions. Even my own blood had their own intentions fucking with me. So now when I fuck with people, fuck with niggas, you know what I'm saying? Either you intimidated by who the fuck you think I am, and you really don't want to know me for who I am, because internally I'm a sweet girl. I'm all about love, man. I'm just a little girl. And I talk about that shit in my book.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? All my, daydreams, playing dolls and house and shit, playing my mama makeup and walking around the house in her fucking dresses. I'm still that shit. You know what I mean? Like, all that shit was taken from me early. I had to stop motherfucking dreaming. I had to wake up and figure out what the fuck I was feeling at 5 years old. And I believe if I would have got counseled, I would have told. Maybe things would have been different. I would have learned how to suppress my emotions and my feelings. So growing up, dealing with niggas, having relationships, I feel like I just really don't trust people's intentions. I go in with the third eye, meaning I'm always
Speculating if their intention
I'm always,
is good or
you
not.
know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't slipping nowhere. It feels like and the older I got, the more spiritual I got. I feel like I deal with people's spirits more than anything else. So when people come with me on the lust tip, it's my decision, my conscience, my Holy Spirit to battle that, meaning, am I going to go for it or I'm not? So at this age, that's my thing now, the Holy Spirit and me deal with that, because I feel like that was the type of energy played on me at so young. And I had to heal from it in order to know how to deal with it. So now I know to always put me first, my feelings first, and pray about what I'm doing, pray about what my intentions are in life.
For sure. And speaking of healing, now at where you are today, like, knowing that there wasn't really, you couldn't talk to nobody, or there wasn't really good examples during that time of, like, releases of like therapy. Therapy in our culture has a very much stigma on it, especially during certain eras of our culture, like back in the day, especially.
Right.
Like, what would be your advice to another woman or a young girl right now that currently may be going through that, abuse? What healing methods or techniques would you offer them, with them being in your situation, not wanting to talk to anybody and stuff like that?
I would say tell. I mean, now that I had some, I told my mom after the book came out, I don't even think she even read my book, because,
Wow.
That's just how deep it is. Some people, like I say, my book is stories and the truth, and people don't want to, they can read the truth, accept the truth. You feel what I'm saying? So I would definitely say, tell somebody that you trust. And now they have those type of resources and therapy available. You just got to take the good with the bad, But always remember that you come first, that you matter. I don't give a fuck what nobody tell you, because you got to deal with it. The sooner you deal with it, the sooner things will get better. Like me, I held that shit in for 20 years. And that shit never made me angry, depressed. I tried to kill myself twice. Like, all that type of shit, because I didn't feel like I was getting hurt. But you can't get hurt if you don't have a voice, baby girl. You gotta tell. You gotta tell somebody. You gotta reach out and tell. Don't be ashamed. It's not your fault. It happened. Things, the world just brings what it brings, but you have control of your destiny. Grab back what's yours, your strength, your pride, your worth. Grab that shit, man. You got people like me you can call on. People with the same testimonies and same story that you probably don't even know that been through what you've been through, that will truly understand your situation. So, it's no shame in the game. No shame. I think I felt with shame, didn't worry about what the fuck somebody gonna say or how they fucking felt about my truth. I'ma live in my truth, and that's just exactly what you might have to do. Live in your truth. Speak your truth, but hold your head up high. And that's just it. The help is out there. I seek therapy. I sought therapy. That's one thing I did do. And Dr. Scandrick, her name, shout out to Dr. Scandrick. Man, that lady helped me so much. She transferred my whole situation spiritually. Now, she was more of a spiritual guidance counselor That's where I got beautiful at 61, Isaiah 61:3. God turned my ashes into something beautiful. I was going through a deep, deep depression, man. I felt like had done gave up. And I reached out to her and I started doing therapy. And when God be moving in your life, the lady, she was like, Tip, don't even worry about it. She's like, I got you. I didn't even have to pay for it. You feel me? She was like, come on. It's like, she said, you was an assignment from God. I want to be able to help you in your situation. And she gave me that scripture. And the first thing I did when I read it, God gave me an assignment. And that assignment was for me to write down what the fuck I had been dealing with for all these damn fucking years, because I didn't know who was going to believe me. But I knew God would believe me. I knew that he would hear me. So I just wrote it down. I wrote everything I was dealing with, all my pain, who had done hurt me, whoever I had done dealt with, everything, like whatever I was pissed off about. Sure. I wrote that shit down, man. And like I say, I move in the spirit. So I had a whole ceremony. I talked to God and I told him, look, I need this shit out my spirit. Excuse my language, but being God, he know I'm his daughter and he know where my heart at. And I was like, basically, I told him, I said, look, I can't live no longer with this shit in my spirit, because sometimes you hold so much deep, dark shit in your life, you can't see the light. Right. God can't move you in something new when you still dragging old shit, you know what I mean? So when you don't tell, that's one thing I learned over the years, that stopped me from being my greater me, my highest me. That stopped me from moving in my potential and in my purpose. So now I got a purpose, even if it is I got to talk about my past, but it's my motherfucking truth. Right. But I wrote that shit down in a book, in a journal, and I burnt it. And I prayed to God. I said, Lord, let this feeling, let this dark shit off of me. And I burnt it. I lit a candle, had my grandma pictures and stuff like that, my ritual, my belief. And that was the day everything transferred for me. For sure. That's the day I let that shit go. That's the day I said, you know what, I'm moving the fuck on from this. For sure.
So like when it comes to, we hear this term soul ties. Like when it comes to like sex and relationships, we hear this term called soul ties. How hard, or was there any difficulty for you to actually fall in love with someone and have like a healthy, functional relationship?
Okay, yeah. I think over the years, my early years, my teen dating, my relationships with my kids' fathers and things like that nature. I'm all for love. I think in most of my relationships, I was dealing with myself, and most guys didn't understand how to help me. That's mostly like why men come into our life. Got to be a help situation. I think that most of my relationships did fail because I need to work on me. I ain't gonna put that on nobody else. I need to work on me and be 100 about my journey and my life. So even now, I figure, I give myself time for that, because where I'm at and what I've been through, most niggas really don't get me. You know what I mean? I guess the external feel like, bitch, I ain't been through that and all that coming for the lust type shit. That's the wrong way to come at me, because I give you that, but that ain't what the fuck I need. You know what I mean? I need a nigga really on what I'm on. Need a nigga that's led by God. Somebody that's really want to see me for me. See me in the eyes that God sees me. Somebody that's able to understand, my past and what I've been through and where I'm trying to go in life. And most folks don't come with that. Some folks come with their own goddamn intention mode. Then here we is. I'm back to goddamn acting crazy again. Now I'm motherfucking crazy. I don't give a fuck. You feel me? It is what it is around here. Cause baby, can't nobody do no more damage than I already been motherfucking through. You feel me?
I feel you. I feel that. So like at today's time, where you are at today, like if it was anything that you could change about your circumstance or your life and your experiences, would you change anything?
Oh man. Sometimes I wish I was born into another family. I don't want to be disrespectful to my parents, but even if after I got over my healing with the with being molested and stuff, after I actually did my ceremony and stuff like that, I had another hit where I found out that the man that raised me wasn't my father, my mom's husband. So they was going through a divorce, right? And he asked for a paternity test. And I'm like, yo, that was a surprise to me. Like,
you my dad.
I'm talking about another secret. God damn, how many secrets we got? See, that's how back in the day they kept that shit a secret. That's why I feel like paternity tests now. Like, I can watch paternity court now, and I'm goddamn crying. I don't know who my dad is too. The shit is crazy, man. My mom don't even like to talk about that shit now. That's the shit I still deal with. I still got to do counseling about that shit because when I found that shit out, man, it's still, my mama still don't like to talk about that shit. She still don't, she really don't even have no answers. She gave me one thing. Let me put this out there. My dad is motherfucking Kenny Dunn. Nigga, if you see this, if anybody see this, your goddamn daddy, uncle, cousin named Kenny Dunn, let him know Tiffany looking for his motherfucking ass. Cause that nigga my daddy.
For sure. Yeah, it's crazy. When I was 25, I found out my dad wasn't my dad either. So
wow.
Yeah, so I know that's something right there.
I'm mad.
Yeah, that's something right there.
Somebody throw some water on me.
Nah, that's something right there. So let me ask you a question. Like, with all of this being so close to your family, like you said, like these were experiences that you had within your family. You know, did you ever like run into your uncle again as an adult or anything, or is he still alive? What's the situation with him?
Did I run into who?
Your uncle.
Oh, okay. So after I realized I had to deal with it, because throughout the years I was still with family gatherings, everybody still coming around like, you know, it's family. Right. But me, I'm dealing with what I'm dealt with, because don't nobody know what I'm dealing with. Right?
Like a silent battle.
Yeah. So when I did start dealing with it and I came out with my truth, that's when everybody knew. I didn't have to specifically tell nobody. I wrote the fucking book, read about it, buy it. And I had my cousins that reached out to me and apologized, like his daughter. She was like, you know, it took a lot of balls for you to tell that. Even though it was her father in the situation, you can't blame me for telling the fucking truth, right? So, but for the person that I was raped by, which was a family member, he heard about I wrote the book. And one day he came over and he was like, Sil, I want to apologize to you for what I did. I already knew the God that I serve. I knew that he was going to deal with that spiritually. I don't give a fuck what you do in the motherfucking dog. Nigga, you got to come correct in the motherfucking life. You can't keep pressing through life like ain't shit happening. That's what had been going on. Coming around, people acting like ain't shit happening. When I started going around my uncles, cousins, family gathering, everybody still playing their role. Everybody role playing like a motherfucker. Yeah. So when I told my cousin, I'm like, you do know I know what happened. That's when I started doing my healing journey. And he really didn't have nothing to say. He was most shocked that I motherfucking said something. But when I'm going through it, trying to motherfucking kill myself because the motherfucker done did something to me, I gotta let you know I'm dealing with this shit. And I remember this shit happened. So maybe 2 years went by. When he did come back around, he kind of pulled me to the side like, yo, Tip, I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying? That, I really don't even have no answer why the shit happened. But I just want to let you know I knew what I took you through. That's all I needed. I've been forgave everybody. But my uncle, I've been around him. You can tell when your spirit kind of irked their asses. Mm-hmm. And I think he get that from me, because now you know that I know what the fuck been going on. So I think he's still dealing with it, because he ain't came to me personally and apologized. But even if he did, okay, I done forgave you. I'm not expecting no apology or none of that shit. But, things like that, people deal with it spiritually. Like I say, my cousin, the spirit was on his ass so bad, he had to come apologize.
For sure.
Because he had to move on. That's something he wanted. He wanted to move on. Now, my uncle, he's an older man. He probably still surprised. He might take the shit to his grave. That's something he might have to deal with in another motherfucking life. I don't motherfucking know. But, people play their parts and they character real good. You still have to deal with people when you're going through it. Right. So, I'm not ill to the situation where I can't be around them. I just move different.
For sure. I read something where you, when it came to your hearing, and in your book you were talking about how, a lot of people they probably know this now after reading your book, but how you kind of have a spiritual connection with your hearing as well. of what you feel like a lot of people can't pick up or hear. Can you like walk us through that? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm slick a medium. I mean, I can hear another world. And I think I really ain't tapped all the way into it because it's kind of scary sometimes. Because I do hear, when I'm around certain people, I hear certain stuff. And I think it's just a gift that God gave me. And I'm kind of in between both things when it comes to my ears. So to protect myself, I really don't go to many places because I can't deal with too many spirits. But I noticed that in 2014, the older I get, the more depths it get. I guess the more spiritual search and deep I get into my spirituality, the more I'm tuned in. And once I'm really free to let myself go, I will be able to merge in that, my craft and that, and my
Right.
gift in that, yeah.
So how old were you when your hearing started like being like affecting you?
I didn't know since I was like 25. Yeah, and I asked my mom about that, and she was like, you know, back in the days when it came to hearing tests and stuff like that, doctors just give you the basic shit, you know what I mean? Now, hell, I know I can't hear in both ears. It is what it is. I do have hearing aids. I wear them when I wear them, but sometimes it irritates. So I would just go out, read lips, whatever. I don't motherfucking want to be bothered. Sometimes I don't want to hear that shit anyway.
I got you. So Tiff, this is my final but most meaningful question for you. If it was possible for you to meet that young girl from your past that you were, what would you tell her today?
Oh man, I did that too. In my healing journey, I used to go to the park. I took a picture of me when I was about 7 or 8, a young picture, and that was part of my healing journey. So when you do heal, you do have to go back and talk to your younger self because she's still waiting on somebody to hear her, somebody to grab hold to her, somebody that's gonna listen to her. So I used to go to the park. I would take my picture and I would just sit and cry and talk to her. I would tell her she's not alone. I would tell her that I'm sorry that she had to go through those type of things. And I just have a whole moment, me and the younger me. Even now when I see myself suppressing back into those feelings that I had as a younger girl, I always have to remind myself she still lives within me and that the grown me always will have her back. Yeah.